Let's watch the worst tourists.
Worst tourists. From the sunburnt, wrinkly British lads to the hairy Balkan dads, we're gonna cover all of the notorious nationalities, alright? First off, probably the most infamous of them all, Chinese tourists. Now, over the years, they've gained quite a reputation, including talking at an obnoxiously loud volume, being mean to minimum wage workers, and, let's say, relieving themselves in public. I don't think that's really a fair representation of the entire Chinese foreign tourism industry. I actually think if we're talking lack of manners or obnoxious loud rudeness, American tourists are like 10,000% worse. And the truth
100%.
is, these Chinese tourists are the only people keeping multiple outdated industries alive. I mean, have you ever seen anyone else travel in a guided tour or use brochures or take photos using portable cameras, not their phones? Like, bruh, without Chinese tourists, who is gonna drink all the imported Tsingtao? But the real question I want answered is why they even go abroad in the first place, when they have their own replica cities of Paris and London and many different tourist destinations within China. Not only are they way cheaper, also they're seemingly way cleaner, way safer, way less crowded, have better weather, better food, and most importantly, less French people. Like, bro, if anything, we gotta start traveling over there to our own cities as tourists. Talking about staying within a familiar environment, these next tourists have absolutely boycotted the aviation industry. These guys are the reason why European airlines are going out of business. But before I reveal what tourists I'm on about, I gotta quickly tell you about World of Warships, the action-packed, thrilling, free-to-play game available on PC. It's actually scientifically impossible to get bored of this game, since they're releasing new content every month, be that ships, in-game nations, cosmetics, or even ship classes. There's always going to be fresh gameplay experiences. Ethical reacts,
showing the ad, ethical reacts, showing the ad.
Epic new Godzilla vs Kong and Transformers update. Just look at these amazing crispy graphics. They've really gone above and beyond by even including dynamic weather, which has just been updated with stunning new water textures, which makes the game's seas ultra realistic. We're talking 40 different unique maps, as many iconic ships as you could ever dream of. Oh, did I mention it's also available on consoles? So what are you waiting for? Sign up now using the first link in the description and use the code BRAVO to receive a huge starter pack including 500
Wow, you're finally showing the ad you changed? No, I show the ads on new videos.
5 million credits, 7 days of premium account time, and a ship. Anyway, Balkan tourists exclusively travel by car, even if it costs way less and is way quicker to fly from Belgrade to Budva, for example. You bet ya Marko is driving. Traveling by car instead of planes allows Balkan families to transport the essential stack of cigarette multi-packs, the cooler full of XL salami homebrewed rakia and bread rolls, and of course, the biggest Chinese speaker that could be found at the local flea market, which is probably the most essential travel item for Balkaners, since it's well known that Eastern European beaches cannot be enjoyed without blasting patriotic war songs at a full volume through terrible plastic speakers. Side note,
I'm more white than you Greek brown.
You can also for some reason find Balkan dads mystically chilling in the hoods of America. No one knows why they're there, it's just accepted. Speak of the devil, next up we've got American tourists. Now,
bro, that's like Turks too though.
in central London, there exists two pretty big, equally awful subcultures of humans. A, British businessmen, and B, American tourists. One is grinning with their big white sparkly chompers out, and the other looks as if they're in a constant state of abysmal f***ing rage. It's funny though, because Americans have quite an unrealistic view of Britain. I don't know if you guys have noticed from my videos, but we don't actually all walk around with top hats on, sipping our morning tea, whilst whistling our favourite symphonies, enjoying the fresh country air of Bentley Portsmouth. That's just not the way it is, unfortunately. And very occasionally I come across American tourists who've by some insane lapse of judgment ended up in Birmingham city centre with that idealistic view of Britain.
The absolute fucking what the fuck? Birmingham branded a national disgrace and one of the worst places to grow up in the Western world. Infant mortality rate almost twice the national average makes city one of the worst places to grow up in the Western world. Imagine being in fucking Birmingham.
As their expectation, and you can just see the deep set regret, trembling fear, and
I've been to Birmingham. Let me tell you, it's fucking peak. It's peak mad.
and the shocked realization behind their eyes, whilst they try and play it off with their
truly a shithole.
Loud, obnoxious comments. Oh my god, they have a mall here.
Yeah, Birmingham is the only thing they have is a fucking mall, and it is basically the city equivalent of mushy peas. You hear about it. You hear about Brummie. You hear about Birmingham. You hear about it, and then you fucking visit, and you just like you hear about the mushy peas, and then you actually taste one, and you think, this is a fucking shithole.
Here? As I said, guys, London in China, you're probably going to have a much better time over there.
Did you just say the goddamn C word to me, boy?
Another group of obnoxious-ass tourists are Australians. I swear they exclusively go to Bali. Because, I don't know, they just have to go somewhere that also has f***ed up insects and clubs that play that one f***ing Land Down Under
Damage control? What do you mean? What damage control?
remix on loop every night. There's two main types of Australians you can find in Bali. The fucking tradies and the digital nomads / enlightened hipsters. This might be the first time.
Oh god, that lady deserves her very own video. This chick.
This might be the first time ever that tradies are the better option to chill with, even though they do all think Bali is a country. And it is funny how a lot of, you know, politically correct Melbourne hipsters conveniently forget all the questionable things the Indonesian government's doing when it's time for a luxury Zen holiday, you know? Anyway, on the subject of tourists that exclusively travel to controversial countries, we have Russian tourists. You can find these guys in Turkey, Israel, Azerbaijan, basically anywhere that loves unless you're a baller.
Yeah, Russian tourists and English tourists. Basically, like, I learned about this culture growing up in Turkey. Russian and British tourists, back in the day, it was British tourists as well. They fucking love Antalya, Alanya, like the southern tip, like the southwestern parts of Turkey. And my God, I mean, the Russian tourists are still very much alive, I think. I live in Alanya, literally got a Russian school here. Yeah, they are, oof.
Russian dad, okay? You can find these guys exclusively in Thailand. Yeah, there's just something about Thailand that really attracts traditionalist, religious, non-woke, non-Westoid Russian men. Yeah, okay. Alright, and now for my favorites on this list. The famously respectful, polite, well-behaved British fucking tourists. Little anecdote. So in the last year, I've been to Eastern Europe a few times. And the one thing you realize in these countries, when you speak English with a British accent, you get some funny looks. And I didn't fully understand why this was until a couple months ago when I was in Poland with some friends. And one night, me and my mate were walking through the relaxed, quiet main street of Gdansk on a Thursday night. Very well looked after, very pretty. There's no clubs or anything, just restaurants and very chill bars. And then, British jump scare. Like 5 hammered English lads pop out of the ornate archway, just belting at the top of their lungs.
We want we do, we want we do.
In that moment, such a massive jolt of national shame coursed through my nervous system that I spoke in a Swedish accent for the rest of my trip. Nah, I didn't really, but as Gatsu said in his video,
it's hilarious how a vocal minority of UK citizens have created a horrible stereotype for all British tourists aboard.
An example of that vocal minority are the divorced middle-aged British women who travel to absolutely poverty-stricken African countries such as the Gambia.
Oh, yeah, this is the passport ladies equivalent to the passport bros. Like, straight up. That's a real thing. People don't know this. In America, I think it's like they go to Jamaica. Yeah, 90 Day Fiance shit, dude. Yeah. Americans go to like Jamaica for that kind of, like, it's like female sex pats. That's a real thing. It's so odd. Like, a lot of people talk about passport bros, and, you know, that does deserve its own mention. Obviously, common places for that kind of behavior is like Thailand or Philippines or areas like that. But then for the ladies, they do they go to in America, like Americans go to Jamaica or other like Latin American countries as well, Dominican Republic. and then the UK ladies go to West Africa.
where the average salary is
Bro, it's not the same. I don't understand. I mean, they're doing sex tourism. You might not have an issue with it. You might have an issue with it, but like, it is still sex tourism. The fuck do you mean it's not the same?
$58. And they use their Western money to entice, let's just say, more attractive men than they'd get in England. And if you're sitting there thinking that doesn't sound too bad, it's not that deep, bruv. Just put yourself in the Gambian dude's shoes. Would you really want to have to smell Margaret's baked beans breath wafting past your face every day just because you're starving?
I mean, I think it's an issue for the record. I'm not saying that that's a, you know, I do.
Desperate for money. And Margaret...
We're talking about exploitation and trafficking? What do you mean? Do you think that there's no exploitation in this dynamic because it's like a woman versus a man? Is that what it is? It's still exploitation.
just happens to have more money in her Barclays savings account than your entire country has in its GDP. Tourists aside though, British people have absolutely destroyed some parts of the world. And I'm not thinking that, I'm thinking more this part of Spain. Marbella's industry especially is completely built around selling British people gack for 9 months of the year. Now I was actually in this kind of area this summer, but then instead of following up the coast to British hell, I went to a bunch of smaller towns up here. And honestly, probably the most picturesque places I've ever been to. These cities were unfathomably cool, and because there's no fucking beach there are no British tourists, despite Marbella being only 50 kilometers away. And the contrast between the two is so massive, they literally feel like two different countries. I did unfortunately have to get the bus through Marbella and Malaga on my way home, which was a depressing way to end my Spain trip. But at least it wasn't as depressing as a cruise ship full of British people. For Brits, Marbella is the normie choice, okay? Let's say you've really saved up the big pounds working in the business.
I guess they moved on. This used to be, I feel like British people used to come to Turkey all the time too. Like they don't anymore. Like politics has changed that. So now they go to Spain. They're going to fucking older geezers are going to Spain, right?
Skip factory, and you want to go for a more tropical but equally shit option. Look no further.
They all look like sausages with legs. 100p, dude. Tiniest fucking underwear you've ever seen. Looking redder than an apple. It's fucking mental, lad. Loud as hell. You can smell him coming from a mile away. Smelling like cheap beer and peace. Revving up the Bugatti.
A cruise. It comes with everything British people love. Gambling, shit, food, and deck chairs.
Yeah, the tiny fucking... Look at this tiny Speedo. Barely seeing it. Rotund. The fucking belly hiding the penis. Someone's got to stop the British. They're mental.
Another group of people who love cruises are the Nordic countries. Because alcohol is very heavily regulated and expensive in this region, it's pretty common if you're in Stockholm or Helsinki or Copenhagen to hop on a booze cruise to one of the Baltic states. This comes with many attractions. The alcohol is duty free on this boat and comes served with terrible live music and unregulated gambling. Sounds absolutely phenomenal. Also, the alcohol is about 95%.
I love the idea of going to Estonia for like vacation. That should show you exactly how fucked Nordic countries are, okay? Scandinavian countries are. To be like, yeah, my dream vacation. Oh, my dream vacation. I love going to Estonia. The weather is actually 12 centigrade or instead of being 11 centigrade. A big difference for me. It's a big difference. You really get the 1 centigrade difference and you feel it in your bones. It's crazy. Oh, man. It's called a booze rally. Finns go to Estonia for booze. Estonia is the Latvia. Latvians the Lithuania. Estonia is apparently extremely appealing. They have a ton of amenities there. What you mean is Estonia is like what, 60% women? That's what you're talking about. And also great internet, right? Estonia, a country where they all vote by the internet. Or something like that. I don't fucking know. All their voting is done on machines, right? Estonia has a lot of Bitcoin criminals hanging out until the SEC gets them. We went to Estonia from the Balkans for a holiday one time, and the guy at the passport check looked at us weird when we said we were there for tourism. Finns go to these cruises. We get hammered and goof off for a weekend, and then back to work on Monday. I am in Estonia. Very nice. They do it on the weekends, not vacations. But yeah, that's a bit fucked up. The skin tight designer shirt, British lad, is a hilarious sight. I saw one of the Tokyo kitchen knife store. And this tiny Japanese lady was like trying to help him, and he kept refusing. And his girlfriend was just like uninterested, looking at the whole time from the corner of the store. Yeah, they're the best, dude. Skin tight designer shirt. British lads are the best. They are tourism terrorists, in my opinion. Straight up.
Cheaper in the Eastern European destination, be that Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, or even Poland. So Finns, Swedes, and Danes are known to get on the boat back home hauling crates and crates and crates of absolute vodka or Finlandia or whatever those silly.
To be fair, what the fuck are they supposed to do, dude? That shit sucks. Yeah, of course you're gonna drink. It's cold as shit. There's not really much going on. You also have like a big chunk of your amenities covered. Like a big chunk of your needs are covered, right? So what are we supposed to do?
Danish people drink. I don't know. And those are pretty much all the big tourist groups I could think of. Please let me know in the comments if I missed out your country's funny touristic habits. But there's one big question that still needs answering. Who is the worst? Here is my potentially controversial rating. Feel free to argue about it as much as you want in the comments. And don't forget, link.
Wait, what is this? Worst tourists. And then this is the best tourists. Aussie Scandinavians are the best tourists. Worst tourists are the Brits, Americans, Russians, and Chinese, and Balkaners. Gulf State family and Turkey tourist. Yeah, that's oddly specific that a British lad is not going to fucking know about. You know what I mean? Chinese giving me C. To be honest, they usually chill just the buses and parks on small streets. I've never actually seen like Chinese tourists anywhere that have bothered me. Maybe because like they just kind of keep to themselves. They roam around in really large groups and they just usually keep to themselves. I've never felt that same like visceral disgust that I do for American tourists. Number one, British tourists, Russian tourists. I can't say the same for like Balkaner tourists because like that's too Europe specific. And I would say that Aussies are pretty chill. A lot of the European tourists are usually very chill, actually, except for the Brits. They are fucking unbearable. Chinese tourists can get very aggro for the oddest reasons in my experience, but they're usually just in their own big groups and remain quiet. Yeah. A lot of photos. They're taking a lot of photos. They're there to learn. Like, I feel like Chinese tourists are nerds in general. Like out of all of these groups, okay, these guys, they all go to a different country to get fucking shit-faced, okay? Every single other group here goes to a different country to get absolutely fucking wasted, shit-faced, be unbearable. Chinese tourists are there to learn. I feel like these motherfuckers, like, they go out in a massive gaggle, okay? And they got notebooks and shit. They're taking notes. They're like, wow, this is very cool. Thank you for explaining to me the fucking history of 17th century architecture or whatever the fuck they're learning. Israeli tourists are definitely in contention for the worst. Israeli tourists are so American coded, even though they're like not from America, obviously. But they do have the almost exact same vibes of they dress European, but they have the vibes and attitude of America, of Americans, like the I own this place type shit. Like if you were to, yeah, they have the same entitlement that Americans have, but then they dress like fucking Europeans with their capri pants. Chinese tourists just have the numbers. You just can't be quiet in a group of 30 plus. Capri jeans, IDF day off uniform. You're right. Exactly. Nah, is extremely rude? America's not so. Dude, Americans are rude as fuck. What do you mean? They're so goddamn loud. It just like bricks my brain. It's so, ugh. It's embarrassing. It's so, they're so loud. You just want to fucking, you literally want to turn around and be like, oh God, these guys, I'm Canadian, by the way. I mean, everywhere around the world, I'll be like, I'm Turkish. Please don't yell at me. Bro, Americans travel around the world like they fucking put the 800 military bases there, okay? And to a certain degree, they're right, because their passport holds so much weight. They literally, like, an American out and about in the wild is like that classic meme of like the racist white person in class touching a black person's hair. They're like that all the time.